So I want to welcome everyone here today. This is our first time actually doing a podcast, everyone. So we really hope you enjoy it. So make sure that you give us your feedback on whether you thought this was useful, if you liked the podcast format or not. My name is Sean Zachary. I am the founder of the National HBCU Auxiliary and Dance Directors Association. And with me today, I have one of my executive board members, Ms. Ray Coleman, who is the current coach of the Mahogany in Motion dance team with Morehouse University, Spelman University, and college.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Okay, college. And we've got three very special guests here with us today. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this conversation because, as you know, it is audition season. And, as an organization that is here for the benefit of our coaches and, of course, our performers, we want to be able to give as much information for those of you who are even thinking of auditioning for a pro dance or cheer team, be it the NFL, the NBA, or even any of the baseball teams. There's soccer teams, there's hockey teams, there's minor league teams. So the information that you're going to get here today is definitely going to help no matter what your goals are. So I do want to introduce our panel today. And actually what I'm going to do is let them introduce themselves really quickly. So let's start with Ms. Casey Potter, who is the director for the Texans cheerleaders.
Yes, hi everybody. I'm so excited to be joining you today. I've known Sean for a few years. I've got a few of her former dancers on my team. So that's my connection here. And I love having HBCUs represented here with the Houston Texans. I've been the coach for 3 years and I was a former cheerleader myself. I danced in the NFL and NBA. So I've had a lot of experience and I love giving back not only to my hometown team, but getting to promote dancers and cheerleaders and giving them a platform to work in our community.
Great. Sounds good. Okay, and next up is Ms. Marina Ortega, and she is with the Boston Celtics.
Hello, everybody. This is Marina Ortega here. I'm so excited to be here. This is my first time, and I'm thrilled. I've been with the Boston Celtics for 15 years, and I actually started the team for the Celtics. They were the last team in the NBA to have a dance team, and so I moved from Los Angeles, California to cold Boston and made some waves up there. So it's been a ride of my life. And side note, I'm also the owner, co-owner with my twin sister of Pro Action Dance, which is a professional dance company that provides choreography, instruction, and recruitment for professional dance teams. And I'm just really excited to be here. I'm hoping that through this podcast, I'll be able to recruit some of you. So please, I would love for you to share my contact information afterwards. So thank you so much for having me.
Great. Thank you for making the time to be with us today. And last but certainly not least is Ms. Michelle Birch, who I have a special relationship with. Michelle and I both attended Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We were both dancing dolls there. And Michelle is the current now, Michelle, you're not just responsible for the Blazers dancers. You're responsible for all of the performance teams for Portland. So go ahead, introduce yourself, let them know what your focus is.
Oh, hello. I'm Michelle. Thanks for inviting me, my fabulous dancing doll sister for life. I am Michelle and I work for the Portland Trailblazers, and you're right, Sean. I'm the performance teams manager, so I oversee our Blazer dancers, which is our women's dance team currently, our stunt team, which is a co-ed group, and then we have our Rip City crew, which is a male hip hop team. And then I am responsible for any sort of entertainment. And um, I think that that's pretty common in the NBA too. You're right that I have those things, but I think Marina probably is similar, like works with the other performing groups as they have them in and out through her organization. So I feel like that's pretty common in the NBA. Casey would have to tell us about the NFL. I'm not sure if they kind of divvy it up a little bit and when people have other performance groups. So just it's kind of different between leagues. I've been with the Trailblazers in this role over performance teams for 13 seasons, and I danced for 6 seasons, actually immediately after I left Southern University. So been involved with the Trailblazers for quite some time, and I'm super excited to be here. Obviously, HBCUs are near and dear to my heart. I had such a fabulous and meaningful time in my HBCU that um, it's just a good time and a great connection between these two worlds. So I hope that we can get more dancers to join programs. See if we can share some good information. So thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And I also want to mention with my co-host for today, Ms. Ray Coleman. Ray, give them a little breakdown because you also have history with pro dance.
Well, after dancing at Morehouse in college, I went and danced for the Hawks. And that's where I met Miss Marina. Miss Marina was one of the people who came in and choreographed for us. I attended, what was it back then? Pro dance. And so you said pro action. I'm like, okay, got to get the girls there. But now, then I left the Hawks. I went to Brooklyn. Well, no, not Brooklyn. The New Jersey Nets. I think I say Brooklyn now because I'm sending. Yes, you can have the lollipop. Sorry, guys. Then I went to do a season with the Nets, and my coach there was Miss Petra Pope, and she's now moving to the Redskins, and dancing under her was totally awesome. Learned a lot there. And then I came back to Atlanta, where I am now directing a high school dance department and coaching for Morehouse.
Great,
And a
great.
side note, Ray was a spectacular dancer for the Hawks, and it was just incredible to choreograph for you. I mean, I think I put her in the front of all of my routines. So,
Yeah, I still remember my favorite ones.
which one?
Okay, so there was one where I'm on camera, and it was working day and night, working day and night. Got me working night. That one, and I'm on camera pulling my groin on camera. And I go like it's like a turn. It's like you turn, you chenille, you hit this leap, and then you like hit the floor. And I'm like, I drop to the floor. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just pulled my groin. And then I come back up like, okay, keep smiling, work it out, work it out, work it out. So working day and night was one of my favorites. And then there was another one that I just like. I don't know. Did you do Queen of the Night? Did you do Queen of the Night?
That was me. Yep, that was me. Ray.
That's amazing. It's amazing how we remember these things because I remember my first dance at Southern University. I remember every step. So yeah. So what we want to be able to do is to give everyone, our listeners and our followers, we want to be able to give them an idea of what to expect, not just from the performer level, but from the coaches, for our coaches. How do we prepare our HBCU dancers for pro auditions? I will be the first to tell you that I have a lot of experience in not making a pro team. Lots. And I really think that had I had a mentor or someone to give me the advice that I needed, I know things were a lot different in the early 90s, but I tried out for Dallas Mavericks, I tried out for DCC. It was just an exercise in futility. So I really hope that this is going to benefit everyone that's listening or watching this evening. So I'm just going to get started, and then we can just again let's just jump in and have this conversation. So it seems like all of you have danced. You danced. I'm imagining it's really rare for someone who did not dance on a pro team to actually come through and coach it. So, what was the transition like for you guys, transitioning from being a performer and a dancer to actually being a coach?
I would have to, Sean, I'm the exception. I did not dance on a pro team.
You
Uh,
didn't?
nope, never danced
So there's hope
professionally.
for me.
There is so much hope. I'm telling you right now, and there's hope for everybody out there. I mean, actually, I have a twin sister. Her name's Mina. We're from Los Angeles, and we grew up choreographing. We were young cheerleaders. Junior high, high school cheerleaders, and we were from the neighborhood. I grew up in a single family home, and we didn't know what dance classes were. We didn't have the money to have all the extracurricular stuff that all the other kids had, and so we were just dancing in our room and choreographing and playing music, and we just always were moved by music, and so we started choreographing at a really young age, and we were very self-taught.
Mhm.
And so through the years, you get better, 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 and you just want to continue choreographing. I mean, we had the bug at a young age, and so we were very lucky. Being from Los Angeles, it really placed us in an area where we could thrive choreographically. And so we were choreographers, professional choreographers before any type of, dancing. So we were very lucky. So that's how
Wow.
actually, I met Ray was
Mhm.
when I was very young in my early 20s, flying out to the Hawks and Portland and up and down California doing choreography. And so my transition was different, but it's not impossible. If you have
Mhm.
passion and if you work towards it, then you're gonna get there. You're gonna get somewhere close. And I really feel like I achieved my dream by staying true to what has always meant so much to
Mhm.
me, and that's dance and choreography, production. And as I got older, just being a mentor and being a good
Mhm.
coach, that always
Mhm.
really meant a lot to me.
Right.
And yeah, that's where I am.
Yeah. What about you, Michelle?
I was just thinking that Casey and I are so different because I think you danced more recently, right? Like, so I'll let you tell your story, but I was thinking the three of us have very different stories. So I did dance for the Trailblazers. I think maybe that's pretty common that people dance for the same organization that they end up coaching oftentimes because you sort of build your reputation as a performer and sort of your expertise, and then you maybe transition into assisting or kind of helping out, and then you maybe become a director. But for me, I danced and helped our coach out at the time. Um, and then I didn't take over this position for another 10 years. So there was a big gap from the time that I danced for our team. I went on to do other things and then came back to the organization. So for me, I think that was a really big help because I had experienced some other things as a dancer and choreographer and was able to come back and share those things and kind of have some distance. I have friends who had a harder time when they kind of went from dancing and being a member of the team to a year later being a coach, and really taking a lot of time to transition, for people to sort of see them not just as their friend, or teammate, but like as someone that they have to take instruction from or, be their leader. So that can be challenging, not impossible, of course, but a different challenge. So when I stepped in, I think fortunately, I had a good reputation. Like there was a lot of good association for my name. I'm super thankful for that. But I didn't burn any bridges. So that, also something to think about as dancers, right? You want to kind of keep your name in high regard. So even coming back to the organization, to the Trailblazers, most people that I've worked with were no longer there. But my name held a little bit of positivity with it. Like, oh, Michelle,
Mhm.
I don't know her personally, but I know her work. Like I know her history here with this organization, her community service, and her level of giving. So for me, it was honestly a tremendous honor. I loved my coach, and she left, and I came in. So for me, I was like, yay! I get to give people this gift of all the joy that I had over the years of experiences. And then I got to build. Obviously, I have some different ideas. We're just two different people, so I got to kind of build on that a little bit. But super grateful to be back with the same organization.
Wow, that's great. Casey, what about you?
Yeah, like Marina said, I'm a little. I started coaching a little closer to performance, my performance career. But I think that for me, it was about changing my mentality. When I was performing, I could be very me minded. How is my performance? Am I perfecting that and growing that? How is my physique, my fitness? Am I staying healthy? And I could worry about myself. And then becoming a coach, I had to become, I had to see the whole picture. And am I helping the teammates? Am I helping them grow? And am I helping them with their camaraderie? And I had to become an asset for them. So it wasn't me anymore and what I was giving to the team. It's now, what am I doing for the teammates and helping them better themselves? So I think that just changing my mentality, but it's a beautiful. I love that change, getting to celebrate them and help them and really give them a platform to jump off of. So it's been a blessing and I've loved it.
Mhm. Cool. Well, so what is it like being a performer for a pro franchise, and what are some of the expectations of the people that are on your team? Casey?
I can join in.
Go for it,
I can
Casey.
get a little bit of that since I
Go
Go
for it,
know.
ahead.
Casey.
Um, you're being paid to be a dancer, you know? So you have to do your job and you have to remember what your job is. Your job is to uphold the brand and know the choreography. That is it. And so there's no wiggle room for oops, I missed that 8 count. No,
Right,
you're
right.
literally being paid to know every 8 count, every count, and every head, every arm. And so there's no excuses. There's just none.
Right, right. Well, what do y'all think? Do you agree with that?
I definitely agree with that. I think like when you are dancing for a professional team, you're held to a different standard. Not to say that that commitment is any less when you're on a collegiate team, but when you're being paid to be at the highest level, at a pro level, your expectations are just higher. You know, people expect excellence and they expect to see a professional product. And so for me personally, I hold the dancers to it. You know,
Mhm.
I'm a pretty strict coach in that sense. But they want to be good. You know, they
Mhm.
want to live up to that pro level reputation. And so I would say that, you know, it's definitely the dancing, and Casey and Michelle, you'll agree, it's definitely the dancing, but it's so much bigger than that too. It's, you know, you're on and off the court and field. Um, um, Attitude, presentation, how you carry yourself, and it's really that full time representation of the organization. So it definitely it extends beyond dance. But in terms of dance, you should be on your A game, and you should be at a pro level. You should be the person that said you should be that person that a collegiate or a high school or a young dancer says, I want to be like that dancer there. I want to that is my aspiration, is to dance like that person. And so that's what being a pro is
But
being, yeah.
talk to me a little bit more about the personal life side of it, because I don't, we struggle with that on the HBCU level quite a bit. And it's, and I guess maybe a lot of the performers that we have on the HBCU level aren't getting paid. They're most of them aren't getting scholarships. They're not even getting a book stipend, so they're supposed to be doing it because they love it, right? But so there's this constant battle between, this is me, and then this is me, the dancer, or the performer. They all agree that they are representing their schools, that they not only represent their dance team, they not only represent their marching band, but they also represent the university. We are the face of the university, and they know that. But it's this cognitive dissonance to, I should be able to do what I want to on my free time. It shouldn't matter what's on my social media page. And so we get, there's a struggle. So do you guys have that same struggle on the professional level, and how do you deal with it? And help me, please.
For me, it's reminding them that you're an ambassador. It's all the time, especially with our world of social media.
Mhm.
It's reminding them, okay, so we've got junior cheerleaders. And what if those 5 and 6 year olds want to go find you on social media and see who you are outside of practice? Are you setting a good example? Because you're the example for the future cheerleaders that want to come up into this program. And so if you set a bad example now, then that's either just something that they're going to think is okay and follow suit, or they might not be interested in our program in the future because they didn't like that. And so it's being an ambassador for who we are all the time, but also
Mhm.
remembering, I'm going to use Marina as an example. It's not that Marina was out there doing such and such. It's that Houston Texans cheerleader Marina was out there doing this. And so it almost becomes this bigger world of you're not just yourself anymore, but you represent your teammates, which represents this brand and this organization. So
Mhm.
it's a lot of responsibility that we put on these professional dancers and cheerleaders' shoulders. And you've got to hope that they have the backbone to stand for what they believe in and do it with pride and do it with responsibility.
Mhm. Absolutely. And it's my problem is that what is acceptable is a sliding scale. So, and they look at me and say, "Oh, Miss Shawn, you're old school. You're just, you're old." And everything is just a sliding scale, and they just don't get the bigger piece of it. And then, then they will want to go and audition for a professional team, and I'm just like, you're not going to make it, right? I mean, you're not. When I say you're not going to make it, it means even if you make the team, it's going to be really tough on you, if you don't have the discipline, to manage yourself accordingly. So, um, what do you, Michelle? I didn't give you a chance to jump in there, but you ditto.
I just was gonna, I was listening to Marina and Casey as well. And Casey was kind of one of the things, the ideas I wanted to say was like, even though we spend and invest a lot of time and energy in the dancing, the ambassador piece is critical for organizations. These are $1 million brands, and the dancers and cheerleaders are the ambassadors. Most of the time, in any of these organizations, when you're looking to have someone engage with your business, if you're like, whatever business wants to have a representation of the Portland Trailblazers, they're going to invite players and maybe don't have access to them, and then they're going to ask for the Blazer dancers. Can we have, 4 Blazer dancers at our event? We're having a grand opening, and our dancers who we train to dance also need to represent our company in a respectable and professional manner at all times. And
Hmm.
that to me is one of the biggest pieces sometimes missing from collegiate athletes. Some college programs are really similar to pro, and you can tell, and other programs don't necessarily have that element, which is not negative, but it hasn't given dancers the experience. So they come onto a pro team and they're late to practice and say, "Oh no, really, it's okay. I'll just let you know I'm going to be an hour late." But I'm saying it's opening night practice. If you're not here, you
You
don't
don't
dance
perform.
and you let your teammates down. Oh, but it's okay. I just had to get like my car and I'm driving from. It doesn't matter. This is I don't. And I had one dancer say, and I love this dancer to death. This was her rookie season, and she said, "My mom will call you and tell you." And I said, "I don't want to talk to your mom." And if I said the name,
Oh
Marina would die laughing. I'm not going to say it because it's a podcast, except for she wouldn't even care really if I did, because it was this amazing opportunity for growth, right? She just didn't get it. And she said eventually, "I didn't realize it was a job." She's one of my most awesome dancers and human beings and ambassadors. And I'm so sad she left our team to move on to do other things. But her first year, maybe her first, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, she was like, "I just didn't get it." Like I wanted to do this and dance and be with everyone, but I didn't realize it just wasn't a job. It was like a bug at school kind of thing. She just kind of transitioned her thinking. And when she did, she was the best, but it was all the other things, not just her dancing ability. It was all the other things that she needed to up her game,
right.
the best, be one of the best members of the team and to be an example to other people of what we should do, what we should uphold as ambassadors for our organization.
Right.
That reminds me of one of my mentees, who danced for the Hawks this past season, but she wasn't invited back because of those simple, like, it wasn't that you weren't a fantastic dancer, it was all of the other things. And that is one thing I really, really work to teach all of my students, is that dance is what we do because we do it because it's fun and we love it and we're good at it, or it's our passion. But when it transitions from this is fun to this is my job, there is like a sobering that has to happen. And it's difficult for, like, even for myself. I can look back at my first year on the Hawks and just say, gosh, Ray, you were so green. I was just excited to be there. And that was fine. And luckily I had an experience, a family experience that taught me, how to be professional. But had I not had that, I would have come in there just as I wanted to be.
But I think it happens with a lot of artists. Sometimes when you are in an art like dance, it's hard to translate it into a business. Like now it's a job, because when you're dancing, it's your passion and it's emotion and it's all of that. Excuse me. But when you are hired on a professional team, there are all these other expectations that are attached to it. And that's where dancers I think we all here have dealt with it, where they just don't understand that transition. And sometimes there's bumps, and sometimes some people pick up quickly and sometimes they don't. And it's a rude awakening because, in the pro world, there's always going to be someone better. There's always going to be, it's a high level of competition, and you may have been the superstar in your dance studio or your college team, but you may not make the pro team. And it's, so there's that aspect to it. And Sean, you mentioned something, and it's I'm sorry, I'm losing it right now, and it'll probably come back to me. So I'm gonna hand it back to you, and when I think of it, I'm gonna jump back in.
I have a question though.
Sure.
So we're talking about how that professionalism matters. What in your audition process do you use as professional coaches to assess that professionalism level? Like, do you all do interviews? What are you all doing to assess that part of each dancer? Because like you said, there's 700 people at your auditions and 500 of them are bomb dancers. So what are you using to set them apart?
I'll give you a really simple response. So last year, because of this pandemic, first time I got to experience running auditions virtually. And something as simple as showing up to the virtual interview and sitting and being dressed properly. And I'll even take that out of the equation, but not just holding your phone so that I'm staring at the ceiling and moving around the whole time, but just sitting here and addressing me like a professional. That was a quick line that I didn't realize I would have to draw, but it was something I experienced going through auditions last year. And so I think that remembering that when we're back in an in-person situation, from the minute you walk through that door, you're auditioning, and from you give them your license to check in, you're already trying out and they're already judging you on your professionalism. So it's how you interact with the staff members that are running tryout, and it's in every little detail. It's not solely when you're dancing, it's every second of that audition.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. We have, even on our level, our auditions become a little pageant like, and I've had some of them tell me, oh, this is like a pageant. Yeah, it kind of is. You have to do your introduction and you need to speak well. You are representing the university, so you need to be able to speak well, present yourself well. You need to showcase yourself, showcase your intelligence, because it's not to say they don't have it, but can you showcase that? So it's not just about the dancing, even on our level, and it's still hard for some people to get it. They just don't. They think it's just about the dance part. So
I think exactly what Casey said too. I've always said to people that as a director, I watch every single thing that people do. And I think dancers are auditioning for something, especially in person, and they think like, I'm gonna go over here and give this person the side eye. I'm gonna dance in my space, and I'm gonna not be very kind to the person. Like I'm gonna be myself when I check in, which might be snarky, not very friendly or personable. I'm gonna do whatever. And then when it's time to be judged, I've learned to dance. Now I'm going to be so ready and professional. And I think a good director or staff, coaching staff, has been watching all of that. They've been watching because we care. I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think as coaches, we care about making a team. I don't want the best dancer in the room if no one wants to be near that person.
Yeah.
Right? There's something
Quote.
to that.
That's a quotable quote.
Right? Like you do. We want great dancers. It's a dance audition, but remember we said we want ambassadors, people who can be a good teammate. An NBA season is 41 home games plus playoffs. So we're together 5 nights a week, working, and it's really hard when you have a person who's not a team player, who doesn't want to just be kind, doesn't even want to say like, hey, good morning, how is everybody today, right? It's like that. It's like I don't really know if I want that energy. And
Right.
the program that I'm trying to build, that's what I always think about. Like I have a program, I have a responsibility to make everyone feel great and build them up to make us better. Like you'd be amazed at what coaches take at the beginning of their season and who their teams become. And you can't do that with people who don't want to build and grow.
Right.
I watch everything. I'm like, I always say at my auditions, I don't want to teach. I don't want to teach. I don't want to check people in because I'm in the corner like this. Oh, I'm like, that girl's good. Let me see how she goes to put her stuff in. Like I'm just like trying to see because I'm like, oh, I want that person to be kind too. Or someone comes to tell a coach like, oh, I just checked in 152 and she is the sweetest girl from such and such. And you're like, oh, let me see her. Right? You're like, let me look for that person. So there's all kinds of things that have nothing to do with the dancing, but it's everything else.
Yeah. My just the application process is before you even submit a video. There are rules. There's steps. Step 1, step 2, step 3. And if you can't follow very simple steps, I have a problem with that. And it's just, we go through a lot to put our processes together. Ray will tell you, we spend a lot of time, making sure that our audition process and our application process is perfect, and it has all the information and still it doesn't matter, how thorough you are, how many times you've answered questions about the audition process.
I was going to say something about the collegiate level. I think because I've coached at the collegiate level as well. I think that, a lot of times when you get the college kids, there's it's their first few years out of the house, out of high school, out of the dance studio, and they're just learning and they're away from home and they're really learning how to be mature, and they're going through all the bumps that we all know about, and they're learning how to be a good student, how to be accountable, or maybe they never had to be accountable. Maybe their parents didn't teach them accountability. And so there's something there in which they're being asked to abide by an expectation and they're not used to it. And so if you're listening right now, please understand that, these college programs are preparing you not just for a pro dance career, but it's preparing you for life, because being committed to a team is showing up, it's being accountable, it's being on time, it's being prepared, all the stuff that you would have to do for any job or any type of commitment in your life. So if you can't get through your college program, you're not going to get through a professional dance program. That's plain and simple. And here's the thing, remember this, Sean, you will be I would reach out to you, and I would reach out to you, Ray, if any of your dancers were auditioning for the Celtics dancers, and I would want to know, Ray, please give me your honest opinion. How was this dancer on your team? And I will believe you from top to bottom. And if you said, you know what, he or she is immature, they're not ready yet, here's what I dealt with, I would want to know that, because
Mhm,
I've got hundreds of other dancers that I can choose from. But you know
mhm,
what? I know Ray, and
mhm,
I know the type of program Ray runs, so I'm interested. You know what
mhm.
I'm saying? So it's, don't burn those bridges. You know, we talk about those bridges, and
Right.
so I mean, this is where I come from. So
Yeah. Right. Right. Absolutely. We have similar relationships with some of the high school coaches. We have to be really careful because I am shocked to hear Michelle say that she's dealing with someone's mom. Or potentially dealing with someone's mom, because we deal with mamas all the time, even when I tell them I don't deal with mamas, and I still deal with mamas. And so I'm really shocked and amazed that even at that level, that's what we're dealing with. But so I have to be a little bit more careful, because they'll go straight to the president of the university if they feel like it's something that they want to do. um but absolutely, I kind of get, sometimes we'll get feedback about certain people from coaches. I don't seek it out, sometimes I'll just get it. They'll email me and say, yeah, so I have XYZ, she's auditioning and I think you ought to know. And I think a lot of times it's because they just want to give me the heads up. And in another way, they kind of want to imply, look, this isn't really indicative of my program, but this is what I had to deal with. So, I think you ought to know.
and truthfully, Sean, it happens within the pro world too. You know,
Hmm.
I've had directors reach out to me because, someone that I had on my team is now auditioning somewhere else, and vice versa.
Hmm.
We just kind of look out for each other, because at the end of the day, we want to have a good time.
Right.
We want to have a fun season. We want the team to get along, and you need to
Uh-huh.
have good teammates.
Yeah.
When you were talking about your audition process, and you're just kind of sitting back and watching, I have not taken the best dancer at my audition, for the reason that she's may have copped an attitude with someone at registration, or an intern, or somebody that she didn't know actually worked for the Celtics, that was behind
Hmm.
the scenes.
Hmm.
And so I have not taken that particular dancer, because as we all know, we don't need a toxic environment. We need good teammates,
Right.
because I can coach anybody. I
Hmm.
just need good team members.
That's what they forget. They forget that
You don't talk about it.
anyone,
Yeah.
I can teach anyone to
Right.
look like I want you to look.
Right.
It doesn't matter who you are.
Hmm.
And they forget that.
Mhm.
They
I need a
forget
good
that.
team member,
Yeah.
right?
There are
I need a
people.
blender.
There are people who don't make it from their interviews. Things that you say in your interviews, just not knowing. And you know what it comes down to sometimes is, it's not specifically like, I've had people say some really inappropriate things in their interviews. And for me, it came down to not specifically that the thing they said was inappropriate, but it made me think, I cannot put you in a room with a sponsor because I don't know what you'll say. That's
Right.
really the bottom line. It's
Mm.
not what you said right now that I'm offended by, or it's just like, you don't have the sense to not say something like that in front of these 4 or 5 people, where it's not really damaging our brand. If you say something like that at the president's dinner or this fundraising event, and you're then representing our brand, then we're in trouble,
Mhm.
right? So it's like, you have to get your life together. And
Right.
if you need, and oftentimes it does take a mentor. Like, sometimes it's your coach. Sometimes coaches don't have the time to necessarily train you for the next thing, and that's not the coach's fault or necessarily their responsibility. So I don't want to put that on them. But if you as a dancer want to move to the next level, you have to seek that out.
Mhm.
You have to
Right.
seek that out a little bit.
Right. Well, I want to jump real quick, and this shouldn't take a whole lot of time, but I think it's still important, just for some tactical things, like um, how much time during a week? If does a dancer during a season, do they devote to rehearsals and performances? So I'm trying to give them a expectation in terms of, what the time commitment is. Is there a financial commitment at all? What do they get paid? Just, those questions that they're probably afraid to ask you. Casey.
I'll take this one.
Okay.
So in the NFL, for my team specifically, when I'd say from summer through the end of the season, you could expect about 12 hours of practice a week. And then game days, probably about an 8-hour commitment that you're at the stadium. On top of that, we require appearances throughout the entire year. So that's really flexible. We send out when appearances are available, and you send me back if you're available or not. And so those are not, oh, I have to take off work to make this appearance. You should be able to fit it around your schedule that you already have. So appearances, practices, and games, it fluctuates week to week. We might go 3 weeks without a home game, and then all of a sudden we have 3 in a row. So our schedule is not consistent throughout the season, but we keep you busy no matter what, whether it's practices or appearances.
Great.
It is a paid position. And we also offer sponsorship and vendor opportunities. So you're sponsored through a salon that's hair, and it's also salon services such as facials and a hydration station and tanning. So it's got something for everybody, which is amazing. And then hair, we do a what do I want to say? We do a stipend every month. So they have a amount they can go spend to get their hair and keep it the way that we want it. So
cool. Oh, that's cool.
You come out without any out of pocket costs. You could make it.
Wow. Did you catch the way that we want it?
Yes.
That's a big deal, because I get so much pushback when I say, hey, new girl, I need you to keep your hair cut. This haircut is what you came in looking like. I liked it. We picked you because you have this haircut. Well, I wanted to change my hair and get a long weave this time. No, you cannot do that. But they don't understand that you're a part of a brand. We choose you, and the way you look is a package.
Yes.
I chose a small girl with hair down to her waist. That's who I expect to dance my season.
Yeah.
I don't need that small girl with hair down to her waist to come in with a buzz cut when we come back for the season.
Right.
That is not the package I purchased.
Right.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback on that. Come to tryouts showing us what you want to put on the court or on the field. Because if you come with long hair, but then you want to have a different look in the season, don't make me imagine that. Come with what you want, and then we'll have a discussion. You're not, in my opinion, the way I run my program, you don't get cut for your look. You show me what you want, and then if we need to have a discussion, we will. But I cannot imagine you looking the way you want to look, but you're different in front of
right.
So show me what you want to put, what your package is.
Right.
I would have to say, with the NBA, it's a little bit different. We've been talking about this for a little over a year now. I would even say 2 years. Is that because a lot of teams right now are trying to figure out the financial part of like our budgets. There are some teams that offer stipends, which I think is amazing, Casey, that you guys are able to offer all of that. Not every team within the NBA offers stipends. Some do have partnerships with hair salons and maybe eyelashes or tanning or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But where we are trying to help each other out in that, and Michelle, you can help me out with this also, is that we can't really hold our dancers to the level at which we are expecting them unless we are helping provide that. And so, for example, I had a girl who auditioned for me a few years back, and she was coming out of college, and she was very just kind of very plain, I should say, there was amazing dancer, but her look needed a little enhancing. And so I had talked to her about it, and she was, and this is extreme for us. It was extreme. I had, brought out this photo, and I said, I really think you can pull this off. You don't have to say yes. You don't have to say no. I want you to think about it. I think you can pull it off. You would be the first of its kind. And I really built it up. And she just said, Marina, I trust you. I don't even have to think about it. I want to do it. And she was the first girl that we ever had that had pink hair. And for us, that was a really big deal. But I could never say, you're going to be pink. You're going to be blue. You're going to be, we can't do that.
Right.
There's a lot of things that are not legal. And so we have to make sure that we are, just abiding by the rules. And so I also want my dancers to feel comfortable. I want to talk to them about what they feel good wearing. I also had a girl that she kind of just had some, it didn't, again, like the identity, like she didn't have her own identity. She was a gigantic dancer and she was technical, but she can hip hop, and she was, just bigger than life, but a very plain look. And I sat with her one day and I said, we need to pull something out of you. I'm like, she had just graduated from college. And I said, let's do something. She says, I'm feeling the same way. And long story short, she went bob short, and she till this day still wears it. It's been 3 or 4 years. And now she just moved out to LA and she's going to try to make it on the big screen. And so long story short, that like was her identity. And that's, she's separate from everybody else. She doesn't blend in with everyone else. And so I guess the moral of my story is we, and Michelle helped me out with this, we've been way more flexible with it over the year or in the last couple years. And it's not without supporting them through the transition, because financially we can't, not financially, we can't make them do something that they don't want to do without assisting and working with them. So
Right.
It's
Well,
so good to hear that you all
yeah.
are kind of doing that. I remember being on the Hawks the year you came. I had that red hair. Remember that
I
red?
remember. Mhm.
And they gave me so much mess about this
Yeah.
red hair. They, back
It's
then
changing.
it was, is she too, what was this? Is she too goth? Is she too, I
Mhm.
was like, it's red.
You know what, Ray? I also have to say, when we were at Pro Action a couple years ago, I had an older gentleman that I was sitting next to, and he like whispered in my ear and said something like, well, this team would never allow pink hair on their team. And it was kind of like, well, that's okay. That's not our team. We really want to show more diversity, because what's happening now is we want to appeal to the younger generation, because that is the age group that is dancing on my team.
Right.
I have dancers that are in college. Every team's a little bit different. My team kind of it works within like the 19 to like 26 age group. Boston has 100 something colleges, so that's usually the type of dancer that I get. And so I really want to make sure that we are evolving with the time, and that we're not far behind and sticking to this is the way we've always done it. I want people to come to the game and say, oh my God, I love that person's hair, or she or he looks like me. I want to be able to have our fans identify with our team. And so that's up to me. That's my job. And so I'm an advocate for that.
Marina, you you don't even know it, but you just segued into two things we need to touch on.
Yes.
Okay. One is, are you guys dealing with the natural hair um,
Yes.
generation for
Yes.
your dancers of color?
Can I take that? No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. Finish your question.
Oh no, I was
I
just
thought it
gonna.
might be appropriate that I address that. Just
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah. I was just saying, because we are dealing with it, and we're HBCUs, and we're dealing with it. There
Mhm.
has been an expectation of what the hair on the dance team members should be, and now, um, as I speak today, they are reviewing in state legislature the Crown Act.
Mhm.
So these are the up and coming topics that we have to deal with, and I have young ladies that will email me and say, can I wear my natural hair? So, but go ahead, Michelle. Go ahead, jump in.
Okay. I so to answer that, I wasn't going to touch on here, but also like Marina and I are good friends as well, and we're good friends separate, but we also talk a lot of our dance team business and our programs and evolving, right, like moving forward. And one of the conversations that we've been having together and with some other directors is about changing the standard of beauty. And what is not changing the standard of beauty, but understanding that it is changing and shifting. And that allows more diversity in teams and organizations. If we don't all look for the same thing, like if you say, what is a cheerleader? And it looks like, I'm not even going to define it because I don't even want to define it, right? But if what you envision in your mind, what that person looks like, it's female, it's, probably white, it's, like, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But there are other versions of beauty, male, black, brown, right? Like there's all these other things, and not making everyone, now I just lost my word, not making everyone assimilate to that one initial standard of beauty, right? So then everyone has to have their hair used to be relaxed, or wear a weave, or a straight weave, or a weave with just this much curl, this length, this color lipstick, like all those things. So to that I say, yes, natural hair, absolutely, for me and my program. And I think that as the world changes around us, we would be foolish as directors not to be mindful and cognizant of what we see happening in the world, whether that's, Black Lives Matter, what that represents in different communities, and how we've been blind to so many issues, curvier bodies on dance teams, hips, but like all those things, right? That bring in, that allow us to see beauty in everyone, right? So I think for me, I think about polished. I want you to have a polished look, and which I think Casey and Marina were both talking about, right? Like you came in like this, or maybe we want to change your look, but not because you need to have this specific look, but because you don't look like, right now, I don't look like I need to go represent the brand. I'm not polished and put together to go represent a brand. Now, can I wear my hair like this? Sure. Do I need to, add a couple of things and kind of get it all together to pull together a look? Then that's a different thing. So I say natural hair, absolutely. I had a girl on my team last season, and the funny thing was, you don't realize that you're perpetuating these stereotypes until sometimes someone asks you. So she said, hey, coach, and I was like, I like your hair. Like, why would you change your hair? And she looked at me and said, oh, well, I can wear it straight. And like you said earlier, Sean, I'm old school too. And there's this little part inside me that's like, don't change your look. You can't wear your hair natural one day and then straighten it the next day. Like people aren't going to know you. And then I'm like, stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. Michelle.
Yeah.
Talking to myself. Stop it.
Yeah.
You can't, like Marina, Jasmine. Casey, I'm not sure if have you been to Pro Action?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So I feel like people who have been to Pro Action know this dancer that was a Blazer dancer, Jasmine. She's got long, curly, dark hair. And she dances bigger than life, and she's loud and got this personality. Beautiful, stunning woman. Her hair is naturally curly. That is her natural hair. And she comes to games every blue moon, and she's like, can I straighten my hair? She looks like I got a brand new member on the team. And then I just say to myself, well, if people can't tell who she is with her hair straight or curly, that's their problem. Great, I got a new dancer in January. Like, I'm going to stop with that old-fashioned, sort of outdated, in my opinion, idea of you have to always be exactly this. Right. Do I want them to be recognizable? Yes. Do I want to look like I have different looking people on my team? Yes. I think some of it for us comes from that. Like, oh, we don't want everyone to look just like Michelle, right? Everyone to have the same look, cut, curl. So I don't want you to go change your hair just like Michelle's in the middle of the season, because now I have two, and I really want to have Casey and Michelle. I don't want Michelle and Michelle and Michelle, So, but I think that we as directors are constantly evolving. We're evolving music and style, and choreography changes. We don't do what we did 10 years ago. We don't wear the same uniforms necessarily we wore 10 years ago. And so evolving our ideas around what is a pro, like, I think that's an important piece of this conversation. It is for me as a director, as a Black woman. as a leader of women and other dancers, that's super important to me that there's a place for people.
Right, right. And it's even, becoming for me, I'm more aware of it now, and I I'm having to actually kind of rethink the way that I used to think, sort of like you, Michelle, just rethink how we're presenting ourselves, and maybe it's time for a change, and I always tell them now, my biggest phrase for them is performance ready. Is it natural? Fine, but is it performance ready? It needs to, I still need to be able to see your face. It's not good when you're dancing and your hair is flopped all over in your face and I can't see your face.
And that goes
So
for any hairstyle, right?
yeah,
Like it's the same,
Sure.
right. It
it's the
goes
same
for
thing that
any
you would say.
hairstyle. Right.
I
Mhm.
think that's, yeah.
Yeah, so I tell them performance ready, but we are starting to, use more and more. Of the young ladies are starting to dance with their natural hair. Down here in Texas, we got a different problem though.
You got that heat.
That
Yes. I
it's
already
heat,
know.
heat and
Woo!
humidity, and
But Sean, I have to say, like, professional teams are embracing authenticity. They are, I mean, because, we're all products of our upbringing. What did professional dance teams look like when we were younger, and so on and so forth. And this is how
right,
we're all learning. And we all fall into that. I mean,
yeah,
and so, to say that this is something that I practiced, year one with the Celtics, I would be lying. I have learned so much along the way, and I'm happy to say that today, with Michelle and so many of the other directors across the league, even with the NFL as well, we are really working hard to um, embrace the authenticity of people, of dancers. And so, for those that are listening to this podcast today, I hope that you will, look in the mirror and say, okay, I want to look my best for this audition. And I've got curly hair and it looks really good when I, thrash it around. I'm going to really, tighten those curls and get my makeup on point or whatever it is, but I'm going to look professional, and I'm going to, I'm going to stand taller, pull my shoulders back, and I'm going to dance. I'm going to exaggerate my movement and just be the most well-rounded package that I can be, because the directors and the coaches, they're going to tell you what they need from you. You know what I mean? If they're saying, you know what, I really like your curly hair, maybe you can pull it off to the side, or maybe there's, or whatever it is. And I'm making it up as we go along. But I guess my point is like, just be yourself.
right,
Do not
right.
try to be somebody else.
Right.
That's what I
Absolutely.
want.
Absolutely. That is so good to hear. That is so good to hear. So tell me, I need to ask this from two perspectives, and one is from the perspective of the performer, and the other is from the coach, or from us, the HBCU coaches. From the performer, give me top three. What do they need to do to prepare to come to your audition?
Casey, I feel like you were getting ready to start. Right before the question, but
Yo, I was about to go off on some natural curls. That's what I was ready for. Okay, top three for what performers need to do to prepare for auditions. I'd say study. And how about we each give one? I'm putting y'all on the spot. But for me, it's study. It's go to the website and read about the other dancers or cheerleaders. If they have any videos posted, go to their social media and look at the things that they're about. What makes that brand? And so for us, it's about celebrating the individuality of our teams. And so go through that and see what's important to us, and come into that audition prepared with how to tell me you can help me grow this brand. And so also, I mean, there's things as simple as going to my website and I put up pictures every year. There's a collage from tryouts, and you can look at those other auditioners. So this goes back to your question from the very beginning, Sean. How do we get them to come ready and professional? It's studying
Yes.
what we put out there. It's there. It's all at your hands, at the tip of your little fingers. If you can pull it up on your phone, you can pull it up on your laptop and go see what they've done in the past and figure out how you can be a part of that.
Right. Right. How about you,
I'm
Marina?
I'm going to take this analogy from Stephanie Judah with the Kansas City Chiefs. She speaks at our directors workshop at ProAction at our event in Vegas, and she says, and it'll sort of be piggybacking on what you're saying, Casey, is um, study and research a professional team the way you would your college. You
Mhm.
know, do a visit, attend a game, maybe get to a prep class, find out what's right for you. Maybe I'm really strong in jazz and that's really what I love to do. And I want to make a team that is jazz heavy. Well, go
Mhm.
find out what that team is,
Yeah.
because not all teams do a lot of jazz.
Right.
Some are very hip hop based, or some
Yes.
are very palm based,
Yep.
so it's really about finding the team that you feel best represents you. Or
Mhm.
if you just say, you know what, I've never been good at hip hop, but I want to be good at hip hop, so
Mhm.
I'm gonna focus on hip hop teams, or you know what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
it's kind of in what you were saying, Casey, about studying, but it really is about finding the right fit for you. And you know what? Sometimes you think it's going to be NBA, but it's really NFL, and
Mhm.
vice versa. Or I'm not talking about lacrosse and hockey and some of the other leagues, but I will say that every sport has entertainment now. And
Yes.
so if you think, I would say, keep your mind open. If you
Mhm.
think it's going to be one thing, you just never know, it could be something completely different. So
Yeah.
by doing your research, you really find out what you need to work on and what
Mhm.
the team is asking of you.
Right. Right. Okay, Michelle.
Gosh, I feel like they took all the good answers. Because they're great coaches, clearly.
Yeah.
I would maybe add to, I think I want to jump off this a little bit and say, coming that there's no team that I can think of in the NBA, maybe one, um, partially two, that really do HBCU style dancing, right? So
Yep.
there's a difference, kind of what Marina was saying. Like, I totally agree with Casey. Do your research. Like, it's all right there for you. Agree with Marina, but not but. And there's no team that does HBCU. Maybe the Wizards, and I could be missing, but the Wizards they kind of get after
Brooklyn.
the, and Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
I would say Brooklyn is starting. Chrissia was saying that they're moving in that direction. I don't know if you remember that. She was mentioning that in our last meeting.
And they have done some stuff too. And I
Yeah.
might have missed the last meeting.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
there's some, but like the Wizards are doing it. So maybe Brooklyn, but I guess I'm saying that to an HBCU dancer and coming from an HBCU into the league. There is, yes, do your research, figure out which teams are a connection for you, but also, be sure that your technique, I know that HBCU dancers have technique. I don't want to say that's not the focus, but the style uses technique, yes, but it's so much more, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But when you go into, like, say you come from an HBCU and you come to a Portland audition, being an HBCU dancer is an advantage. You're going to look different. Like, you're going to have some skills that maybe other dancers haven't experienced in on the West Coast, etc. But you still have to be able to nail a double toe
Mhm.
and have some flexibility and be able to execute a leap. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
make sure that you're also building your technical foundation, because many of these teams, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like talking to my friends from both leagues, many teams make a cut on technique. Done. Let's just see you leap, turn, jazz walk across the floor. Cut. Like, you don't even
Basic.
you don't get to show your all that yet. You just have to, yeah, you don't get to yet. That comes later, and you might be gone already because you forgot to brush up. And I know that you guys, you use technical skills in your routines too, but I know from being a part of it that it's different, right? Most teams in HBCUs, right? It's a vibe, it's a feeling. I mean, like, nobody is marching like a J set at a,
No, but I just sent an email to my finalists today. saying the exact same thing. The
Yeah,
first round is a basic skills cut.
yeah,
You cannot do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You will be cut.
right. Like
So,
these teams are like straight jazz audition, right? Like you're gonna
yeah,
get some straight jazz.
yeah.
And sure,
Mhm.
maybe later you're gonna get more stylized choreography into your season,
Right,
but
right.
you need to be able to execute, and I'm sure lots of them have that foundation. So just kind of really grinding out the technique,
Yes.
remembering to come back to your roots, like all good dancers do. Come back to, just go to ballet at the bar, do the
Mhm.
basics so that you can then, you can continue through the trial process. So to me, I think that's a really big or important. I
Yeah.
think that sometimes people miss because then, are you pointing your toes, right? We're looking at those little things. Are you
Yes.
stretching and extending your legs in that leap? I don't want to see two bent legs. I can get straight ones over here.
Yeah.
Like
I am a monster about the back foot. I
yeah, that
I'm a
leg,
monster
arms.
about the back foot. If you cannot do a leap and point your back foot,
Hmm.
or you cannot do a calypso and point your back foot,
Hmm.
I'm a monster.
Yeah, and I think, and I guess I'm trying to say, I feel like they can, but if
Yeah.
they're not focused on that, then
Right.
you forget.
Right.
You're an audition and you've got different habits because you have
Correct.
focused on other. I mean, like you're not dancing in a stand. Like stands. It's just you just don't. That is critical at an HBCU, not necessarily in our auditions. And we all know that vibe and that flavor is very different and awesome to have as a part of a program because it will help other people start to learn and feel and move different. But you also need to be able to execute the basic choreography. So
Right.
that to me, I
Yes.
think is important. Just working on those basics technique.
So let's do this again. One from each of you. What advice are you giving us, the coaches? What can we do to prepare them? Other than just help them do what you just said do.
I would say, like, you guys are running phenomenal programs. I would continue to be honest and make them accountable
Mhm.
so that and dancers don't hate me for this. When your agreement says, be on time or this happens, that coaches, we stick to those repercussions, because these are the lessons that the tough lessons that we all learn the hard way most of the time, until we need to until we learn. And because these are the things that are going to prepare dancers for the future. And so I would just say for coaches, like, keep doing what you're doing, run tough programs, set high expectations, because they'll meet them. If they want to meet them, they will meet them. And you just have fun. I
Mhm.
would say just have fun.
Mhm. Okay. Michelle, Casey.
Um, I would say teach them, right? Train
Yeah.
them. Same, like
Mhm.
train that technique. I'll just stick with that, like, because
Mhm.
make room for Casey. But I agree. Everybody's running such phenomenal programs, and I love that we have so many dance teams. I think maybe train them, like give them the technique or point them in the right direction. If
Yes.
that's not the focus for your program and you don't have time,
Mhm.
help point them in the right direction and remind
Mhm.
them that they need that. And maybe
Mhm.
just kind of helping them find the right fit for them because the
Right.
chances for success are greater. And one of the things that I really love about this pandemic, which I don't love a lot about, right? But one of the things that's great is all these virtual auditions, like you can stay in Texas and try out for New England.
Yeah.
You can stay in Boston and try out for Portland. It doesn't mean you have to go through with the process. Maybe you're not ready.
Yeah.
Maybe you're a college freshman. Try it out. It's free.
Yeah.
Register, take the prep class, find the fit for you so that your chances of success are greater.
That's a great idea.
I mean,
That is a
so
great
many, I
idea.
don't know too many programs that are charging you to audition anymore.
Mhm.
So with everything virtual, you might as well take advantage of that and check things
Right.
out. And of
So
course, be honest with coaches that you maybe aren't going to complete the process for, but you're learning so much just by going,
right.
getting your
Right.
foot in the door a little bit.
And you're seeing the competition too.
Mm.
And they're seeing you. They're going to remember you when you
Exactly.
come back.
Cool. That's a great idea. Casey?
To piggyback on Michelle's teaching, I think encourage them to take classes, right? And that doesn't mean pay and go take a class. That, thanks to the pandemic, get on YouTube and find something for free and broaden your horizons. I know for us, we have a diverse city, and so we dance to every genre because I want every fan to come to a game and be like, that dance spoke to me. And so we've got to hit all of those points. We've got to do a sassy jazz. We're doing a hip hop, and y'all, we might be doing a country dance. I remember our prep classes last year, I had someone come up and she said, I have never danced to country before, and I really enjoyed that. Gotta know that, especially in a city like Houston, we're gonna throw everything at you. So jump on YouTube and do that. I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, because I have a second one for coaches, that if you are lucky enough to have alumni of your own program that have gone on to a team that some of your dancers are considering going to, help them network. That's something that's really important to me in my own program. I ask the alumni, send me those job opportunities and I'll pass them out to the cheerleaders. If there's a new cheerleader who's moving to Houston just to be a Texans cheerleader, and she's like, well, I'm a dental hygienist and I need help finding a job, I'm calling alumni that I know work in the dental field and I'm helping them get connected. So I think that these HBCU coaches can do the same thing. If you have someone who's interested, well, hey, I remember so-and-so, it might have been 5 or 10 years ago, but at least she can give you a look into what that program was back then, give you some insight, and maybe they can even connect you with someone who's currently on the team and get help that way. And so I think that helping them network with your alumni who are alumni of the program that they're interested in would help them beyond imagination.
Right. That's awesome.
I really love that, Casey. I would also say, Sean and Ray, well, Ray, I've known you for a long time, but I mean, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We can, continue to stay connected and, really, in exposing your dancers, is connecting them to us. You know what I mean? Saying, you know what? I have a former dancer that is the director of the Portland Trailblazers. Let me connect you with her. And now I'm friends with the director with the Boston Celtics. I'm going to connect you here. You know what I mean? Because, it's easy to connect now.
Yes.
So
it is.
It's not a bother whatsoever. I mean, it would be a pleasure to mentor or to help guide in the right direction. So please don't ever hesitate to reach out to us. And if there's another program that you're interested in, we can connect you to that director of that program.
Awesome. Well, this has been, I know that we could probably sit here all night and just go over stuff and talk and share stories. But I just, first of all, want to thank you guys so much for making time for us today. We know you're busy, and you've got your auditions coming up and everything, and so I just really appreciate it. But I want to, and I'm going to include Ray in this too. Just final parting words, any words of encouragement that you could provide, or what you could do is give me like one of your most memorable experiences with the team that you're with. Something fun, something that you'll never forget, and give the people listening a reason to say, I want to do that. I really want to do that.
I'm going down the road of encouragement.
Okay.
And this is parroting something I say every year at tryout. So people are gonna be thinking, I've heard her say that, but no doesn't mean never. And if you don't make it, it's just that year. That team is going to be looking for something different every year, and you're going to be a different package every year. So no doesn't mean never. And also on those lines, I've been told no. I've been told no for college dance teams. I've been told no for professional dance teams. And look at me now. I think that if it is your dream, you keep chasing that dream and you can accomplish anything. I truly believe it.
Wow.
And just keep going for it. We've all been told no in this industry. And if you have a passion and a drive and a big heart, then you're going to make it happen for yourself.
Wow. Yeah. I agree. That is great encouragement. Great encouragement. Ray, go ahead.
most memorable thing, or just some words? Most memorable thing is being surrounded by so many talented women, um, who, like Casey said, I've been able to create this wonderful network with. Um, and I think that's the most valuable thing that I've come away with the dancing world, because I met, here's an example of how that network parlayed itself. I met Kimmy G because she danced for the Sixers. And I think we both auditioned for the Nets at the same time, and she ended up not making the Nets and went to the Sixers. And then we both ended up in Atlanta. And I said, "Hey, I remember you." And she says, "Hey, I remember you." And we chatted it up, and then I started directing, and she went on tour with Beyonce on the Lemonade tour. And so then it came back to, she's off of tour, and I said, "Kimmy, can you please come and speak to my department?" And she was lovely, and she did it without a second thought, because of this network of professional, committed, passionate people who are kind of bonded in our pursuit of this industry. And so that's one of the most memorable things. And I'm very thankful for that, those connections.
Mm-hmm.
And so you better believe I'm following all of you now, and I'm going to be reaching out, because my girls go everywhere, especially Boston. Because
Yes, perfect. My recruitment. I'm just gonna hop in, and I'll make it quick because I'm long-winded. I just want to say, excuse me, the most memorable part of being, in my position is just being able to be a mentor and being able to help guide dancers in the right direction in life, and just throughout their dance career, or whatever they choose to be or do in their life. And we get them at such a impressionable age, and having a program that provides a foundation of positivity, of accountability. I always go back to accountability, about, setting high expectations and goal setting and achieving. And I just really feel like it's kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like being a chosen one, you know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
having the opportunity to make real change and a positive impact. And so it's, I feel very lucky every day. I don't take my job for granted. I feel like it's very important that I take it serious, because I know that what we provide in our industry will last forever. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that question, because it's really important.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Michelle?
I cannot think of any. I mean, I kept thinking of moments, and I think I could talk all day about different things that are meaningful to me. But I think what strikes me most similarly is the relationships over the years. I think that one of the hardest parts for me is, auditions is one of the most exciting times of year and one of the hardest times of year as a director, because you get to see so much talent, which I love. It's like my favorite thing in the world is to watch dancers. And then you also have to make really tough decisions, and you get to welcome wonderful new talent in, and then you have to let go of wonderful talent and people, and sometimes make really tough decisions. So I'm always torn. But one of the things I really love is watching my dancers grow through their lives. And people that I had 13 years ago are now mothers, and getting married and getting to enjoy their weddings, and watching them find love and create their own families or get their dream job. Or I had a dancer who said her dream was always to be part of the DCC, and she said, "Hey, coach, what do you think?" And she left, and she's been a DCC for 3. It's just like watching them chase their dreams, whether it's with us, another team, if it's life. I think that's just been really special for me, to get to hold their babies, and like watch people celebrate. Just to be a part of their lives intimately has been super special. Like it's a huge family. I mean, Christmas Day, my daughters and I were invited to be on a Zoom gender reveal from a dancer that's no longer on my team, but just that she would think of me as important as a part of something, another. I mean, it's just that to me is magical to be able to um, be impacted by them, not me impacting them, but for all of us to love each other and to be a part of each other's lives. This such fun, meaningful part of all of our lives that we've shared together. Like it's pretty amazing. I think that's more important to me. I say that to my dancers all the time. Your life is far more important to me. Your goals are far more important than the game tonight. So it's not just about you dancing for me. It's about you as a person growing, loving yourself, loving this team, this experience. So I feel far more about these people than I do as dancers. So that's, I feel really lucky, blessed to have that opportunity.
Well, we feel really blessed and lucky to have you guys here with us today. I know I've said that a couple of times so far, but I just can't tell you what and Ray can attest to um, how we started and how we've been moving along and plotting what our goal is and what our goals are and what our purpose is. And so you guys are just helping us check off these are relationships that we want to build and nurture and maintain. Even if none of our girls are going to audition for your teams, which they are. um but there's other ways and other things that we have coming up in the future that I want you guys to be a part of. So I'm really glad that we at least started that to put the stake in the ground today so that we can continue to build upon this relationship. And I'm really just so thrilled and so happy for you guys to be here. So I know you guys are busy. So with that, we're going to sign off. But again, this is Sean Zachary and Ray Coleman from the National Auxiliary and Dance Directors Association, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.